Go off, queen. I guess that's a grown man. That's a grown man. OMG. Okay. Hi. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mo, short for burrito. Don't ask why my mother named me that. Anyways, hi. Before anyone asks, hey, you said you were gonna upload a video last weekend, and today is Monday. Where the hell were you? Working. I was working almost every day, like closing shift back to back to back. I can't do anything else. Like if I'm working multiple shifts, multiple days in a row, that's it. I'm cooked. I'm not doing anything else because I gotta socially recharge. Like I'm not built. I'm not built to do multiple things in one day if I'm working, right? Anyways, that's my excuse. I was getting a paycheck. Also, I snagged this baddie, this Arkham Asylum cowl replica for $17. I was gagged. I was shocked. On eBay, this shit would go for $30. I love it so much. If I wasn't, I don't plan on ever selling my collection, but I like keeping it in the box. You know, I like the packaging, right? I like the experience. Anyways, if I wasn't like such a weird freak about packaging and boxes and stuff, I'd totally take this out and cover it in kisses. Like lipstick kisses. Use my nice lipstick, right? Love it to death. Love him so much. So hot. What a baddie. I need to shut up. Anyways, today we are reviewing Riddler Year 1. I need to be normal. Anyways, this is actually my favorite comic book. And so this is going to be very biased, obviously. But I think it's okay to be biased because as of the time of recording this, my birthday is a week away. And so I think I'm allowed to be a little biased because I'm in a good mood, right? Like your birthday's coming up. You just feel good about that. Like objectively, birthdays are awesome. I hate this dress. Sometimes the sleeves always fall down. I don't want to be nude on camera. Anyways, let's get into this. So for those of you who don't really know what the hell this cool, silly book is, this book is basically like all of the issues. This is just all of the issues for the Riddler Year 1 in one thing, by the way, because like flex. No, basically in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, this is basically like the origin story for the Riddler, which on the inside they kind of explain like what the hell this is, because this was like written by like Paul Dano and like another person. Anyways, basically something that actors do, and I remember when I took beginning like intro to theater when I was a freshman in high school. I remember basically like when you get casted as a character, an exercise actors do is they create like a backstory for the character in their head to basically be like give it some depth so they can get really into the role. And so DC was basically like, oh, you do this already for your job? We'll just publish this and make it canon. We'll make your exercise you do to get into character, we'll make that canon. So I think that's really funny. Anyways, so basically, how do I explain this? First things first, I want to get the art style out of the way. I love the art style in this comic. I really like how it looks. I like how things are kind of like, oh my god, I hate this dress. I love it so much, but genuinely, if this falls one more time, I'm gonna tweak the fuck out. Sorry. Okay. So basically, I like the style because it feels very sketchy, like we're looking at a not sketchy like it's suspicious, like sketchy like it's not fully finished. I like that. It feels like a memory. It feels like we're looking at something that's from the past, which makes sense because this is like a backstory thing. Anyways, so there's a bunch of stuff about the Riddler in this comic that is just, it's very different. First of all, his name isn't Edward Nygma. His name is Edward Nashton. And one thing about this comic that I really like is that the Riddler is literally me for real. Like, I don't mean to get personal, but like, okay, I can't really relate to Batman characters, right? Like, I can't relate to being a billionaire. I can't relate to being a circus freak orphan. I I can't relate to dying. No, I can't. I'm just some bitch from the South who just likes comic books, right? Like, I can't relate to most of these characters. Sure, they may say things that are relatable, and you go like, wow, that's literally me for real. But, like, these characters aren't necessarily the most relatable, at least to me. Maybe, like, a dude, I've met so many dudes who are like, I'm literally Batman. Maybe there's just, like, something that men feel on, like, a spiritual level about comic books, but that's just not me. I just read them, because I think Batman's hot, right? Like, there's no relatability. But the Riddler in this comic, I've never felt more seen before, honestly. Because when the comic starts, the Riddler, he kind of low-key is, like, not in his best mental state. Relatable. No, he's working, like, a dead-end job. He's an accountant. I'm not good at math. I genuinely thought that 19 minus 28 was 20. I can't do math, right? Okay. I had to pull out a calculator for that. So, you know, not the best at math. But he's working a dead-end job. He feels like a nobody, because he kind of is, essentially. He doesn't have any prospects going on. He doesn't really have any friends. He doesn't have a girlfriend. He's just kind of existing through life. His boss doesn't really appreciate him, and he's just kind of going through the motions of, like, trying to survive, but he doesn't feel like he's doing anything worth, like, while. He feels like nothing, essentially. And he also has pretty bad intrusive thoughts, and we kind of see them throughout the comic book, and one of the first times we see his intrusive thoughts, it's at the, like, station, like, the train, the public transport, and he thinks about just, like, stepping forward onto the railway tracks. And, like, this may be TMI, but I have family in Illinois, and so sometimes we visit, specifically Chicago. We have family in Chicago, and the last time we visited, I just, like, every time we went on the metro, low-key, every time I was like, what if I just, like, step down? What if I just step onto the railway tracks? Like, I just want to, like, get electrocuted, right? I mean, I wasn't gonna do it, but it was an intrusive thought, because I didn't want to do it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it, right? So he has, like, these intrusive thoughts, and he's just not doing well mentally, and he's not really in a place where he can really do much about it, because he can't really progress anywhere, but he's really smart. And the inciting incident in this story is that he's an accountant, right? And he notices that there's this group that every, like, month or week, I can't remember right now, they give $5,000 to this specific organization, but it's never exactly 5,000. They split it up, but it equals 5,000, because if it was 5,000, it would get flagged in the system. And he's like, that's suspicious. That's weird. And he, like, brings it up to his boss, and his boss is like, don't fucking worry about that. If you bring it up, I'll fucking fire your ass. And he's like, whoa, you know? And basically, he starts doing some sleuthing, and he realizes that, like, all of these things, like, what is happening is they're putting money towards this Gotham Renewal Fund, but he basically finds out that the Gotham Renewal Fund isn't really a thing. It's not actually gonna happen, because it's just a way for rich people to, like, pass around money through, like, crime boss activity, so the rich keep getting richer while Gotham continues to deteriorate and rot. I don't know. Maybe in the current American political crisis we have going on, because politics is fucking insane right now in America, and kind of everywhere, to be honest. But anyways, this book hits different. This book hits different in the year of 2025, bro. Anyways, so he basically realizes that the rich don't actually care about them, and something that's also really important is that in this story, he's an orphan. He grew up in an orphanage, and one time he, like, met Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne, who was running as the mayor of Gotham in this universe. You would know that if you've seen the movie. I'm such a nerd! He meets Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne is basically like, you're really smart. With the Gotham Renewal Fund, I'll make sure that you are able to get a college, like, get into college, get a scholarship. Like, you'll be chill, you'll be fine. You know, I want to make sure people like you who are academically gifted but don't necessarily have the means can get there, right? And so he really idolizes Thomas Wayne. He thinks Thomas Wayne is so fucking cool. But then when he gets older, and I mean, Thomas Wayne has died at this point, but when he gets older and he tries to, like, use any sort of programs that were promised to him, he can't use them. And so he doesn't really get a good education. That's why he's stuck as an accountant. And he's very upset about this. He feels betrayed. He feels lied to, which he was lied to, actually. He was promised these things that never happened because the person who wanted to do this change died. But he blames Thomas Wayne, and specifically the Waynes themselves, which makes a lot of sense because it's like, well, you fucking bitch. I mean, I don't know. He died, so I don't know how much we can blame him. But like, okay, fair enough. Go off, Queen. I guess that's a grown man. That's a grown man. OMG. Okay. We're back. We're chill. Anyways, so he's like starting to basically be like, okay, no, change isn't gonna fucking happen in Gotham City, so I need to enact change. Very like through political violence, through like breaking the system with force. Very Malcolm X coded, you know? And like, listen, I don't necessarily agree that we should be causing violence. However, sometimes you quite literally need to do violent acts to get shit done. You know, like, remember Luigi Mangione, the People's Princess? Yeah, remember him? He shot the healthcare CEO, and suddenly, bro, people, like, there was a policy that was about to be implemented where you were gonna get, like, charged for, like, x-rays or something. They backed down on that. The United Healthcare stuff, they backed down on that after the CEO got shot, right? Sometimes political violence works, okay? Okay? Sometimes it does. I don't think he was that far off. You know, maybe Gotham City needs that shit to happen. You know, they need change, and sometimes change just has to come through force. Okay? Why am I defending, like, a fictional terrorist right now? Well, he's literally me, so I guess whatever. Anyways, another important aspect to be, like, reminded of throughout this entire thing that I have not mentioned yet is that he sees Batman stop, like, a girl from being robbed one time, and he was literally, like, and then he becomes, like, infatuated with Batman, and he thinks him and Batman are working together, even though Batman has no idea who he is. It is fatal, like, obsession, and he's just like, well, Batman could, like, you know, he's fighting the good cause just like I am. We are friends. We are working together. We're making out, you know, like, in his head, obviously. I don't know. I definitely am overreading it, but I think it's a lot more interesting if you pretend that he's in love with him. Because, like, there's no way that, like, infatuation and obsession doesn't end up being, like, lust at some point. There's a fine line, okay? I don't know. There's some depth to that, being like, I'm working with my husband to stop crime, you know? He talks a lot to Batman in his monologue. He's just like, what are you doing right now? What are you up to in the world? Do you fight the fight like I do? Do you care like I do? You know? It's very interesting. Oh my gosh, hold on. Everyone, this isn't what I was going to talk about, but, like, look at this, right? Like, art, peak comic, I don't know. The art style is very interesting. I really like the way it looks. No, there's this one specific thing that, like, I remember after I saw this one panel in this comic, I actually, like, started stimming the fuck out. Like, I was jumping up and down. Couldn't contain myself. I was screaming. Where is it? There it is. I think this is it. No, it's not quite it, but it is kind of it. Basically, throughout the comic, on his, like, paperwork he's supposed to do as an accountant, he starts drawing Batman stuff all over it, and he starts, like, you know, affirmating, I am enough, you matter, Batman stuff. No, so fucking real. Like, when I've ever been in, like, a lecture in school, so many Batman doodles. I'm sure, like, if I had to have my notes taken for, like, a notebook check, you know, like, when you were, like, a freshman and they would make you do that stuff, yeah. Anyways, I feel like my teachers would probably deduct points, because they would be like, girl, that's too many Batman. Like, are you bored? I am bored, actually. Anyways, no, I think it's really interesting, especially because, I don't know. You kind of see how his mindset changes, and I think he gets I would even, like, armchair psychology this guy and say maybe he's having, like a like a manic thing happening, because he starts very depressed where he's saying I am enough, and then at the end he says you are not enough, you know, because he's just like okay, so how do I explain this? When you say something enough to yourself, it kind of manifests, you know, like if you say I'm gonna kill myself as a joke, eventually you may start to feel very depressed because you're kind of just low-key manifesting that into your, like, how you're thinking. Kind of the same thing. He's trying to manifest good vibes, but the bad vibes are so intense. That made no sense. Anyways, one thing I really like is that as he starts to become, like, the Riddler, and, like, starts to really... There's this one chapter in this comic. Oh my gosh, hold on. I need, like, physical... whatever. Anyways, it's less of, like, comic and more so, like, his ramblings. And that's just, like, the entire chapter is just the ramblings of a madman. And, I think it's so valid. It's so real. Honestly, I think it's really interesting to just kind of look at this guy as he's, like, putting together the pieces of how corrupt Gotham is and kind of slowly, like, losing himself in it. And also there's, like, cutesy little things where he's trying to, like, figure out how he wants his costume to look because he wants to be a vigilante. He has hobbies. How could you ever hate this guy? Honestly, they really did cast the perfect man. He looks like he is itching to tell me a riddle. You know. But he also has, like, it's just, like, these insane ramblings. He's trying to figure things out. He's just a silly little guy. I understand you, Edward Nashton. I understand. No, it's so interesting because I feel like the last time we had a live action Riddler in a movie, it was Jim Carrey. I love Jim Carrey, but Jim Carrey's Riddler did not have any complex feelings at all. Joygasm! Really, I would say it was just Batman rejected idea. My idol, my crush Bruce Wayne rejected idea. I'm gonna go blow up Gotham City now, you know? But, like, this one, he feels left behind in the system. He feels like change is not happening, change will never happen, so he has to take it into his own hands. He also feels he has to, he's proving himself to his crush, right? His celebrity crush. He's out here like, yo, if I am, like, cute enough and, like, I do enough, maybe Batman will want to hang out with me, you know, and maybe hold my hand. And, like, that's so real, King. I don't know. I don't think I really said anything deep or meaningful today. But I just really wanted to talk about this because I find it so interesting. This is definitely a really compelling take on the Riddler, TBH. Like, I don't think I've really... Like, I've never related to a comic book character like I related to this guy, right? I mean, I wouldn't say right now. I'm in that, like, stage of, like, mental health where you're, like, you feel so good, like, nothing could, like, hurt your ego. That's where I am right now. But, like, if I was, like, just, like, even when I was fucking 14, ow, I hit my chin. My cat is screaming. Don't know why. She screams for no reason sometimes. Anyways, if I was, like, when I was, like, fucking 14, dude, I get it. You're going through the average stage of, like, 14-year-old girlhood. But you're, like, 30. And you're Paul Dano. But, like, I get it, girl. You know, like, it's okay. You can crash out. You should go and fix Gotham through force. I mean, I think I took the wrong takeaway for the Batman movie when I saw it for the first time. Because I was low-key, like, cheering on the Riddler. I was like, you know what, maybe he should do that. Maybe we should just, like, let this happen. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm a super biased source of information. I don't know. I usually have a more deep take on this stuff. But I just don't have anything deep to say about this. I love it. It's good. I don't know. I would recommend picking this up just because in the current state of 2025 American politics, it kind of hits different. It low-key hits a little different. You know, in a post-Luigi Mangione world, it hits different. Anyways, that's all I had to say about that. Like that Forrest Gump quote or something. It's like, that's all I had to say about that. I can't do that voice.